Well, well, Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas to you too.
Yes, and today this is our Christmas special. Today we're looking at Marvel's Frost Fight. It is probably the only Marvel film that is actually dedicated to the Christmas theme. Any Marvel film that has a Christmas crossover has some kind of caveat that prevents it from being an actual Christmas film. This one is strictly a Christmas theme movie, and it's an animation with the Avengers and co-stars Rocket and Groot. It's a very short movie. It's like an hour and 18 minutes, so it's really small. How much do you know of the history of Santa Claus or Saint Nick, in terms of like?
The standard, he
Mhm.
comes to town, gives you gifts.
Yeah, no, but do you know the story of Saint Nick, like how that myth came about?
No,
Oh, okay. I have no idea. I thought you might have known.
sorry, man.
Okay. Because like anything, there's always some story or some sort of like mythology that's based on something that comes off of it, right? So
Right.
okay, so let's get into the opening, because the opening is okay. So the villains in this one is Ymir, who's a frost giant, and Loki, and we start off in it's in one of the Fiji Islands.
Yeah.
And because it's one of those uncharted islands, they want to basically, I'm guessing, is put the Earth into a ice age. I think that's their goal.
Yes. Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, because let me ask you this: do you know what their end game? Pardon the pun, but like what their end game is in this movie? Because they have the Fiji one was one attempt, and then they had a second attempt which was the main story. But
Yeah.
what is their goal? To plunge like the realms into an ice age? Is that their goal?
I thought it was to get to find Santa Claus
But
eventually.
yeah, but for what? But what the okay? Let's assume they get to that. So
Yeah.
they get to Yolnir,
Yeah,
and they get his powers.
from being an ice age, I think. I
Mhm.
think you're right, to stop it from being an ice age.
To stop an ice or to create an ice age.
To well, the bad guys wanted to create an ice age.
So that's their ultimate plan, is to
I
basically,
Oh yeah.
well, because Loki is part frost giant,
Yeah.
so he would be okay with a world of ice, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay,
That's what I brought from it, but
they're on Midgard, which is Earth. Midgard is Earth, and they have the casket of winter, ancient winters. Basically, if you watch the first Thor, the frost giant's main power source is this like chest, right? And it could bring on like ultimate cold weather. They used it to invade Earth millions of years ago. That's how why Norway and Iceland is cold, is
right.
because they made glaciers on Earth, those mountainous glaciers, when they first invaded Earth or Midgard.
Yeah.
So the idea was, I'm correct me if I'm wrong, was to open the ancient casket in Fiji and
Yeah.
basically turn the whole planet Earth into a one giant iceberg. And if I figure, and the idea was, because it's such a remote location, by the time they figure out where on the planet they are, it'll be too late to stop them.
Okay.
So, but for some reason, I guess someone saw a giant Iceman on an island, and they called the Avengers, because before Ymir could open the casket of ancient winters, he was stopped.
Okay.
So that's what we're seeing in the opening sequence, and we have a new recruit. His name is was it Reptile?
Reptile, yeah, something
Yeah.
like
So like,
Reptilio.
yeah, so I didn't know about this character. I had to look him up. He's an actual character in the comic books. He's like a trainee guy.
Yeah.
He's like half dinosaur, half human, or he can manifest dinosaur limbs,
Yeah.
or, to for whatever he wants,
Yeah, you're right.
appendages, and it's for whatever suits him. And so when they're fighting Ymir, he's out as a scout to patrol the area. He sees Loki. Loki gets kind of startled. He opens a vortex,
Yeah,
and that kind of like creates a diversion.
you're right. Yep.
So that ends that part, because they ran away. They weren't able to do what they wanted to do. They got the ancient casket back. So Thor goes back. He returns the casket back to Odin's chamber or vault,
Yeah.
and we find out that they have a new goal, and that is to find and steal the powers of an ancient. He's half. Let me get this right. He's half frost giant and half elf,
Okay.
and his name is Yolnir.
Okay. Right.
So, and then of course, in terms of our mythology or our Midgard, he's also known as Santa Claus.
Okay.
So, and he's one of his powers is that he's got the ability to bend space and time, among other things, which is why he could give rest. Which is why they processed the idea he could bring gifts to all the kids in one day.
Mm-hmm.
Because I forgot it was I don't know if it was Tony or no, it was Jarvis. Was it Jarvis who was able to calculate how long it would take or how fast he had to work in order to do it? It's like some insane like 5,000 seconds per whatever house he's got to go around the world to do it in for 24 hours. But if he could bend time and space to do all that, then he has to do so. Anyways, so Loki wants to steal his power. Okay.
Right.
So based on that, what was the standout scenes for you? What stood out for you as enjoyable, and what stood out for you as being not so enjoyable? Like that was either wasting your time, you were bored with it. So where was the yin and yang for you? Like where did you think it exceeded for you, and when did you look at your watch saying how long do I have left to enjoy this?
Well, with them like trying to find Santa Claus, there was too much of that. I thought,
Mm-hmm.
like on and on and on with that. I was losing my patience.
Mm.
But it was good seeing a new character, and that was my view for that movie. It was okay, but a bit long.
Yeah.
How about
And
for you?
what about the good parts? Like what parts made you laugh? What is there? Because for me, I'll say the part that made me laugh the most was when the Hulk was trying to explain Christmas to Thor. And then they were on a sleigh with Nick, a lookalike impersonator, and Nick was screaming his head off because Thor is using his Mjolnir to guide the sleigh.
Yeah.
Thor and Hulk is just like throwing gifts to these houses at maximum power, almost blowing up these homes.
Right.
So I thought that was funny, and any scene with Rocket and Groot was funny. I laughed out loud.
Okay.
So how about you? Like, was anything that you found funny? Like the zombie gingerbread man? Like, what did you find entertaining?
Just I don't know. Was it Loki somebody explaining Christmas to I guess Thor?
Oh, that's the Hulk.
Yeah, that was funny. That part I found funny. I laughed. Otherwise, I thought it was it kind of just bugged me because that part was a bit too long. Yeah, so it was.
All right. Well, then in that case, okay. So from 1 to 10, where would you rank this in terms of like the value of this view?
I don't know. Like I didn't think it was that bad. Maybe I'd give it a 6.
Okay.
Yeah, it wasn't that bad, but it was. Yeah, it dragged on. That's the only part I didn't like.
Yeah. No, I agree. I'm gonna give this movie a 6 as well because I thought the part where whenever it became the Avengers, it was a very serious tone and it was very it was a hero's journey and it was systematic and it was telling a story. There was no joy or fun or humor or goofiness to it. It was very serious.
Yeah.
And it was just the side characters, like for instance, leading to like Rocket and Groot, when they're on their own little mission, and that mission is more slapstick comedy. Yeah. Like when they meet Mrs. Claus and they're screaming in space, I thought that was funny.
Yeah. Okay.
When they're battling zombie gingerbread men coming out of the ground, that was like bizarre, crazy funny. But when the Avengers are going after a dinosaur, or I'm saying it out loud and it makes no sense. But when they're going after a dinosaur, or when they're stopping elves with arrows, it was very boring. It's very slow. So, for me, the tone was all over the place, and I wish the Avengers were having some fun, but they weren't. they were taking it as a serious mission. It kind of offset the film.
Yeah. Okay.
Would you recommend this to anybody?
Um.
Like, would you recommend this to a kid to watch or no?
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure. Why not? It has Santa Claus in it.
For me, this is not something I would own on a collection, or I would not want to rent this movie again.
Right.
It's for me, it's forgettable. But
Okay.
I don't know what's your take.
It's forgettable, but it's there. It's kind of not too serious. If you like superheroes, sure, watch it, but I wouldn't watch it again.
Yeah, but since this is Christmas, sorry, my phone's going. But since this is Christmas, it is a kind of a good Christmas theme, because this is probably the only legitimate Christmas movie out there for Marvel.
Right?
So
Yeah.
it's for kids who are at home watching this. I'd say watch it. It's kind of fun. Watch it for Groot and Rocket. That is probably the best part of the movie.
Yeah.
And if you don't, even if you don't watch it, you can probably get the scene. Sorry, you can probably get that scene on YouTube, and it'll be worth your entertainment to see what they go through.
For
I think just that alone is worth it. Do you watch any of the Disney XD movies, like the Guardians of the Galaxy stuff on television?
They're there. I just don't have time.
Yeah, I've never watched it, so I don't know anything about the characters. But I'm guessing it's the same voice actors.
Oh, probably.
So if you're a fan of the cartoon series, this is probably kind of like an extension story of what you're familiar with. So it's I think it's benefits those who watch this series as a bonus
Right.
feature.
Okay.
Okay, well in that case, I just want to say thanks, Evie. I want to say, well, Merry Christmas to you
To you too.
and to our fans. Merry Christmas. We'll be back next year on January 1st with the Age of Ultron, as we kick in the new year. And we're asking you to send us your emails through the pantheonofm@gmail.com. Let us know your thoughts. Give us your critiques of any MCU movie on Phase 3. We'll be reading out your emails. Looking forward to talking to you. And so on behalf of Evie and myself, take care.